Welcome to the Insights to Communicate podcast with Adam Probalski, where market and opinion research come together with public affairs and PR.
All right, welcome J.R. Patton with the 1833 group. J.R.'s out of Illinois, and I'm going to ask him about his background, how he got to where he is today. Runs a political shop, does some local government work, which fascinates me because we're doing a lot of that sort of work. And he's also an elected official, which shows that he's a little bit has a slight little mental defect. And we'll hear all about that. JR, tell us, where you started and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, thanks, Adam, for having me. First of all, it all started, through grade school, high school, everything. I knew what I wanted to do with my life. I wanted to be an architect. Nobody could tell me differently. I got accepted to the University of Illinois School of Architecture. Went down there freshman year, spent about 8 weeks on campus, and realized I had absolutely no idea what I wanted to do with my life, but architecture wasn't it. So I came home for a year after my freshman year, took a bunch of different classes at the local community college, trying to figure out, what interested me. And, I had a local government class that was really interesting. And I had never really thought about politics as, something you could do as a career before. So I volunteered for a congressional campaign in Illinois. And the rest was history. I knew that, I wanted to do campaigns and government stuff. So, I went back to school, got a degree in political science, and been doing campaigns ever since.
Fantastic. And let's flash all the way forward. You're on a city council. What in the world motivated you to do that? And how the sausage is made, and you still chose to run for a local office.
It's even crazier than that. So I spent about 5 years as chief of staff to the mayor of the municipality I lived in. And I took a leave of absence from that job when she was up for re-election in 2017, and realized again, I'd spent 5 years working in City Hall, and, got a taste for campaigns again. And that's when I decided I wasn't going to go back to work full time. In municipal job, I wanted to do campaigns again. So after we won the election, I went back to the city for a few months to help with the transition, and then that's when I started doing campaigns full time again. But a month and a half after I left, the mayor called me up and she said, what are your plans? Are you moving? Are you what's going on? So no, I got really no plans for the immediate future. And she said, good, because your alderman's stepping down. And I'm going to appoint you to a seat because I need your help. And you left me here with some unfinished work. So I was appointed to the seat. And then I said, great. I'll do that. I'll serve out the rest of the term. And, that'll be that, because she was not planning on running again. And then, sure enough, 2021 rolls around and she says, you know what, I've got a little bit of work left to do. I think I'm going to run again. You're running with me. So, that's where we are. I've been there 6 years now.
I love it. I have a high appreciation for local government. I think it's like this, place where people don't think about, they don't look to very much. They don't realize how much money's there, how much influence, one local elected official can have over public policy. Most of our business is actually government, just because we work all over the country, and it's a great market. We love that. How's that kind of like? I think for some people there may be a challenge understanding the kind of difference between hardcore running campaigns and politics and the public policy. Some people don't make that transition so well because you're kind of being kind of mean and negative sometimes in campaigns. I know not all the time, but and in public policy, hopefully it's a little bit more collegial, a little more friendly, a little more, working together. How do you find it in your town, and how did you kind of make that transition?
Well, it's been interesting. So, I spoke a minute ago about, the mayor that, I kind of came in with. And, unfortunately, when we decided to, kind of all run again together in 2021, she actually lost.
Oh, wow.
She was a long time, mayor, been mayor, I think 20 years. And, just kind of got swept up in, in a new wave of, people wanting something different or something fresh or new ideas. So I've been serving the last 2 years under a new mayor who I've known for a long time. He's you know he was on the city council when I was working for the city. We'd worked together in the past, but just by the nature of the fact that we were kind of on opposite sides during that election, it was a rough start for us working together. When he got sworn in as mayor, and so it was a little tough for me at first to turn off the kind of campaign mode, wanting to fight and yell and argue about everything, and figure out how to find common ground and work together, in places that we saw eye to eye. So that was a huge shift for me, 2 years ago, and I've spent the last 2 years now kind of both of us trying to figure out how to work together, set our differences aside, and really represent the people that elected us both to be there.
I really appreciate that, because I know it's not easy. So that's really cool. So tell us about the kind of political work you do. What you love to do. What's your favorite part? Because you do some fundraising work, you do campaigns, you do digital. It seems like you do some all that sort of thing. What's your sweet spot?
My favorite thing to do is local races, actually. We do a lot of fundraising work around the country, and that's great, and I love doing that. And especially with a lot of the national work that we do, we focus on districts that are congressional districts in a lot of cases that are not as attractive. Because our motto and our theory here is anybody that's willing to put their name on the ballot and run deserves a fighting chance, and so we want to try and help them raise some money so that that they can put up a fight. But my favorite thing to do is manage local races. I just love getting in there and kind of sinking my teeth in and breaking down numbers and all that kind of stuff. Just earlier this year we had our municipal elections in Illinois, and I spent about a year managing a mayor's race in the city of Joliet, which is the third largest city in Illinois. There was a 2-term incumbent mayor there, and last March I received a call from a local businessman in Joliet, and he said, I'm thinking about running for mayor. Your name was passed along to me. Let's talk. So I told him, you're running against a 2-term incumbent mayor. It's going to be an uphill fight, but he was a popular businessman, owned business in town for 30 years. I said, let's do it. And we ended up winning 65-35. It was one of the most fun election nights of my career. And, I just love, local races like that. Nothing gets me more fired up than a good local race.
So, in political consulting world, local government does not sound sexy to people. A lot of consultants, they want to make some high value, high production video commercial, 30-second spot that they charge $250,000 to build, and then buy $1 million worth of or a couple $1 million worth of ads. It doesn't work like that in local politics, right? You sometimes, I don't know what was your budget for that mayoral race?
400,000.
Okay, so I mean, it's not nothing, but you're not spending $100,000 on any one thing. So
Right.
so how does that work? You got to be judicious with your resources. You can do some video, but maybe you're shooting on an iPhone, or you're hiring a local crew, or you're doing it yourself. I think some people don't really realize direct mail has an impact anymore, but I assume you did some. Like, talk about like what goes into a local race that some people don't really think about when they think about high class, glossy, high expense campaigns.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still a firm believer in, I've never seen anything move numbers like direct mail, and so in a local race, that's where I'm spending my money first. If I can win the race at the mailbox, and everybody says, everybody's always a skeptic. Oh yeah, it's just gonna go right in the garbage. It's gonna, nobody reads this stuff. I throw it out all the time. It works. There's a reason that we still spend a lot of money on mail. There's a reason that it's still kind of the go-to medium, especially in lower budget campaigns. So that's number one. I start from there. I say, okay, this is how many pieces I want to get out, and I work with a number of different mail consultants, and okay, let's start putting together a schedule. It's gotten more complicated with especially in Illinois. with the uptick in early voting, mail-in voting. I mean, you really don't have election day anymore. You've got election season, which can last for 2 months. And so trying to plan out, a mail schedule or even, digital or TV, it's gotten a lot more complicated. So, that's kind of step one for me is mail. And then whatever's left over after that, we did, in that race, we did some targeted digital, we did some highly targeted cable buys, but, mail and research first.
Okay, you said research. Talk to me about research. Like, I'm assuming you're talking Oppo research, but also hopefully polling
Yep.
for the benefit of me and my other pollster buddies. Talk about what that kind of arc looks like, from an Oppo research side, and then how that feeds into polling or other research, and how that feeds into the campaign itself.
Yeah, I mean, Oppo research, of course, especially if you're Oppo and self research. To be honest, you've got to know, what's there, and then, like I was talking about a minute ago, if I'm going to do 12 pieces of mail in a municipal race, I want to know that what I'm putting on the mail is going to move numbers. So I've got to have an instrument to test different messages and to test, positives and negatives, and kind of let that inform the messaging going forward. I always tell candidates, we don't poll to tell you how to feel about something. We poll to see if how you present something is going to resonate with voters the way that we think it is.
Right. It's the old, I think the first time I remember hearing that kind of criticism of research with polling was during the Clinton years. How, they accused Bill Clinton of polling to figure out what he should think, and that's not really how it works, right? We poll to figure out, here's what my candidate believes. Here's what I think about the world. There's 100 things that I think, and I want to find the 2 or 3 or 4 that my constituency agrees with me on, and promote that. So,
Yep.
yeah, super interesting. Okay, so you talked about the mayor. I guess your former mayor. Maybe that's who you're going to say. But is there like a mentor that at some point in your career that kind of put you in a strong place, that kind of changed your trajectory of your career, that you kind of like look to as someone who really made a big impact? Or is this?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've had a few along the way. One of them obviously would be, the former mayor, Calumet City, where I came up. There's a very prominent election attorney here in Illinois named Bert Odelson. He's been a very strong mentor to me over the years, especially as I got, kind of transitioned back out of municipal politics into, or municipal government into, local politics again. Um, and I'd say those two for sure. And then, going all the way back to 2008, that first campaign I mentioned that I worked on was for, at the time, she was the Illinois State Senate Majority Leader. She was running for Congress. She got elected to Congress in 2008. Her name was Debbie Halverson. And she was a big influence and a big help to me early on, kind of getting into campaigns in the first place. So I'd say those three people, probably had the biggest impact on, where I am today.
Very cool. I think mentors are pretty important, especially in our business, more so than in kind of any other.
Yeah.
So I love the fact that you do kind of other work, beyond just kind of campaigns. So can you talk a little bit about your municipal work that you do in government? Not just being an elected official, but the business of local government.
Yeah, so we do. I mean, obviously, we pay the bills by doing campaigns, but a lot of times, especially, with my focus, in the municipal cycles, because we're pretty lucky here in Illinois. In the even year cycles, we get to do work nationally and work with congressional candidates and Senate candidates and things like that across the country. But our municipal cycles are on the odd numbered years, so we're always busy. When a federal cycle ends, we're going right into municipal cycle. So
Yeah.
that's why I've been able to build, a pretty big impact here locally. And so, we'll come in and we'll help, some of these mayors get elected, but especially in the case of, the one I was just talking about in Joliet, as a first time elected official, coming in to take over a city of, 150,000 people. So sticking around and being able to use my experience in both working in municipal government and being an elected official for the last 6 years, it's something that I think is very valuable to other elected officials and other municipalities, kind of drawing on the experience that I have and, some of the things that I've been through. And so we do some work with some different municipalities, kind of advising mayors and, other elected officials on, different governing matters, so to speak.
That's super exciting. I know there's like a lot of political consultants that don't want to venture beyond their kind of role of the politics, but I think we do a lot of work in local government. We have high respect for that because it's I think it's noble work. Like I said, there's a lot of money there, and someone's got to you know give a little bit of advice maybe. Staff is really smart professional people in a lot of these government places, but sometimes they can use a little bit of different perspective. So I think that's really cool. Do you do that just in Illinois, or do you do it at other places too?
Just in Illinois right now, and that's not really a choice that's been made. It's just that's where I've found myself. We've got a few local mayors that we've worked with over the years, who have kind of turned to us in that more municipal role. But that's not like not boxing myself into Illinois. That's just kind of where it's happened so far. It was not something that initially when my business partner Nick and I started this firm, wasn't really something we were thinking about at the time. It was just going to be, campaigns and fundraising and all that kind of stuff. And, as we kind of got through some of the local races early on and, got some mayors get elected, just kind of found myself naturally sliding into that role. So it's something that we kind of, added to what we do.
Yeah, awesome. All right, so let's go to tech stack. I'm always fascinated by how other people organize their business and how they communicate. Are you Google Doc or Microsoft? Do you use Slack or Zoom? Do you what do you do to for your internal operations, communications, and making stuff happen?
Yeah, we are a strictly anti-Slack office. We tried it early on. I think it was at the beginning of COVID. We tried, getting into Slack when people were working remote. It was just super annoying. So no, we have banned Slack in our office. We've got a small office. We've got 5 people here. And we've got a physical office that pretty much everybody comes to every day, but they have the ability to work from home if they want or need to. There's not really a strict policy there. um, a lot of Google Docs, a lot of email, a lot of text. I mean, we're, like I said, we're a small office, so most of the time I could just get up and walk into the next office and talk to somebody if I need them. But yeah, Google Docs, email, text, gets us about 90% of what we got to do.
Right. I love it. Okay. And then for those of us who are not like focused on Illinois politics, what's your go-to for local news? Like what do you have to read every morning so you know what's happening locally?
Yeah, there's two things. One is Politico does a great Illinois roundup every morning. They've got a local reporter here for Politico that does a pretty good roundup. And then there's another publication. It's a subscription-based publication here in Illinois. It's called Capital Facts. It started out as a blog. But it's a state house reporter that lives in Springfield. Covers the Capitol. Has relationships with pretty much everybody in the legislature, and always has the best inside information. So that's there's a subscribers version of that where we get a newsletter every morning with the hot news, and then there's also a free version that that stuff will leak out to later in the day after subscribers have been tipped off. But those are the two things I have to read every morning.
And then national news or beyond that, what do you wake up in the morning?
I mean, I'm subscribed to all of the the national political roundups and things, and if I read all of the ones that I was subscribed to, I wouldn't start my day until noon every day. But I've always got the TV in my office on to CNN or one of the other major news networks as well. So constantly plugged in. Still use Twitter honestly as a source of kind of scrolling and seeing what's going on too.
And in that same vein, do you ever get to like fully unplug? Is that like a thing, or is that just like a dream? Like one day you retire. Do you ever like literally
Yeah.
days or so, like say I'm not looking at anything? Has that ever happened?
I mean, I've made some attempts at it. It doesn't really usually work out too well. But I've got 2 small kids at home and my wife. So I try to unplug when I come in the door at night, and really kind of just be there. It's something that I'm still working at, obviously. Being an elected official, campaign consultant, and running a business, takes up a lot of mental bandwidth. But I do try and kind of unplug when I get home every night for a little bit. So
Yeah, we're all working on that. Okay, and then words to live by, mantra. Like, what do you have something that like runs through your head every day, or that you tell everybody about? Is there like something you run your life by?
I think I've found myself obviously over the years, wondering how crazy I had to be to get into this business in the first place. But the thing I always come back to is once it stops being fun, I'll find something else to do, and it hasn't stopped being fun yet. So
I like that. Sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's not, but it's true. We should.
as long as it keeps averaging out
Right.
to the fun side.
Fantastic. All right, awesome. JR, thank you very much for being with us. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
This has been Insights to Communicate with Adam Probalski, president of the woman and Latina-owned market and opinion research firm, Probalski Research.